pick, the Giants took Abdul Carter. As we didn't always predict, they ended up taking their franchise quarterback, trading back into the first round from pick 34 to pick 25 and took Jackson Dart. So I'll give my quick 2 cents in this. So Abdul Carter, stud, great player, very excited. He adds to the Giants front seven, which becomes a very scary front seven for the rest of the NFL. Sounds like they're going to keep Kayvon Thibodeau. And Jackson Dart, who I didn't love at first in January back when I first talked about him, but admittedly, like, I didn't know the full details about him yet. Started to sound more realistic, become the Giants quarterback. Now I have to root for him because he is going to be hopefully the franchise quarterback. This is the guy who Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen believe in, and now I'm his number one fan. That's just how fandom goes.
Yeah, the way Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll talk about him, they're comparing him in a sense to Josh Allen. I definitely see it with the talent and the way he'll just try to run people over, not afraid to take hits. I like the pick a lot over Sanders or whatever else, whatever any of the other options are. And I also like that they weren't like, oh, we need a quarterback and picked him three overall. I like that they got an absolute stud in Abdul Carter, and then later on in the round they were able to trade back up and still get their quarterback.
And they didn't give up too much. I don't know if you noticed later on in the draft, I forget what team did it, but a team traded their future first-round pick next year for like a pick 30. The Giants only gave up pick 34 and 2 additional third-round picks.
It might have been the Bills to get
I don't think it was the Bills. I don't remember what team it was. I think it was pick 30. We got to look at the full draft to look. Might have been Arizona.
Okay, I'm going to look this
Could be
up.
wrong. But anyways, I like the Jackson Dart pick. I think the Giants have something good going for them, and for the first time in a long time, I am genuinely excited for the Giants this year. I think it's going to be a fun year. Dart, we're not throwing him to be the starter right away. I feel like we're not throwing this kid out there where he's going to fail. We got a Russell Wilson, who I don't think he's going to start the full year because I'm not sitting here. This is not a year where I'm like, oh my God, the Giants going to make the playoffs. This is going to be a fun 6 to 7 win team where they're going to see a lot of growth, and ultimately, I think it's the first step to Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen's full vision, because the rebuild just got so delayed in 2022 because of a surprising good year they had. And now you're going to see the vision. And I believe this draft class really could have saved these guys' jobs. And unless they have such a bad year and Jackson Dart looks horrible, I think these guys are here to stay.
Yeah, and I also I feel like in my head I've kind of been comparing Jackson Dart to Zach Wilson a little bit, just because they're both they went to the same high school. They're both Utah, I guess, like pretty boys or whatever. But the difference, Zach Wilson didn't really play the type of competition that Jackson Dart did, and it's nice for Jackson Dart that even though he's going to New York, big spotlight, all that, he had that big spotlight in the SEC, and he's not just getting thrown to the fire. He's going to sit behind a veteran, maybe 2 veteran quarterbacks the whole entire year. And he might not even play snap this year.
He could not.
So I think he will.
I kind of lean towards against that because, again, I don't think the Giants are going to be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
So I give it, week 8, week 9 thing. Typically, they'll say in August Russ is our starter, and then it'll be October, and stuff will change. But I think what I love so much about the Dart pick is, like you mentioned earlier, they took him pick 3. I mean, they took him pick 25, not pick 3.
And they could have taken him pick 3 and rationalize that.
Because hypothetically, if you love a quarterback,
take him.
They tell them just take him when you can.
Exactly.
Because the Giants didn't know if he'd be on the board. They took a risk, and they did a smart trade-up. But what I like about this so much is because when they took Daniel Jones, he was pick 6. If the Giants suck this year and these guys get fired, they can just take Arch Manning next year at pick, or a different quarterback, top 5, and just flip Jackson Dart for a second. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the thing. This isn't going to – it's not a franchise-altering move because at the end of the day, we all think Dart would be good, but it's a coin flip with these guys.
And, I mean, I always say this about the Jets when the Jets drafted Darnold or Wilson, how obviously in hindsight, if looking back, you would have done the same thing. You would not pass up on the quarterback because you needed the quarterback. But in a sense, when I think about it, I'm like, they could have drafted – like I remember the one – I think it was Nick Bosa. No, it was not Nick Bosa. I forget who it was. But they could have gotten a premier player on the defense or just to fill another hole. And quarterback, you're taking such a big risk because you don't know if the quarterback's going to pan out. But some of these other prospects are like pretty much shoe-in. You know that they're going to be good for your team next 5-6 years. So,
yeah. Overall, I like the pick for the ASU running back. That's a fun pick, and I think it's a year where you get to see a lot of growth in the Giants, where you might see a fun 7-8 win team and see a lot of improvement. I mean, I think they're going to be so fun to watch defensively, and just the defensive line with Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and of course the newly Abdul Carter is going to be really fun to watch. One thing I will say, I hated how Abdul Carter said he wanted to wear 56. I know some people were like, oh, like they liked it, like it was a sign of respect. That really pissed me off as a Giants fan. And how do you feel about that? Like, you don't think it mattered?
Guys say anything for like clickbait or just to grab people's attention. I don't think there's too much. I get it, because if someone came to the Yankees and said they were going to wear number 2,
that's pretty much what that is.
Yes. So I understand, and obviously I'm not a Giants fan, so I don't care about it as much as you would. But
yeah, well,
I don't think it's disrespectful per se. I think it's just like don't even say that. Like that's just, you just sound like an idiot.
I think it's disrespectful because I think he was trying to be respectful, but it's the guy, he's asking the greatest defensive football player ever. Like this isn't just like Malik Neighbors' jersey was number 1 was unretired, but that guy played in the 1920s. I'd never even heard of him.
Yeah, I mean when Rodgers came to the Jets, Joe Namath was like, Rodgers didn't even ask to wear number 12. Joe Namath was like, you can wear number 12, and then he said
Warren
no.
Moon gave Cam Ward his number.
Yeah.
I'm low-key not a fan of this. I don't like the unretiring of guys like that. Warren Moon was one of the first great black quarterbacks.
But
also, that's a guy number should be retired.
Also, Cam Ward didn't ask for it.
I know,
but
I
think that's different.
No, I'm still just not a fan of like these guys unretiring their numbers.
I think for football,
I don't like it.
I don't think it's as big of a deal in football because you don't have as many retired numbers. But say like basketball for like the Celtics, Lakers, and then baseball for the Yankees, these teams are gonna have to start unretiring numbers at some point.
You're right.
Or just stop retiring them, and everyone's gonna be wearing number 74 and like 96.
Well, I think you just gotta really retire superstars. Like Lawrence Taylor is the definition of a guy you retire your jersey number.
Yes.
Warren Moon, in my opinion, is that too because he did so much for the culture of the game. And I'm personally just not a fan of these guys' jersey anymore retired. Like, these are some of the great football players ever. You can't write the history of football without them. They deserve their numbers retired.
Also,
and LT did say no. Like, it's not like he even
in a like little spin zone. Then when you see Abdul Carter taking the field in number 56, it's almost in a way.
What if he was a boss, dude? Like,
yes. But it is almost in a way like serving the history of the game because you see him wearing such a legendary number, you know. You get what I'm trying to say?
I get he went for the respect thing.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here a little.
When you know what a lot of athletes do, the respect thing, you copy the accessories.
Yeah.
The cleats, like the old vintage helmet, like stuff like that. You don't got to go the full, I'm trying to, I can't think of like a famous athlete, something vintage they did.
Like maybe like some of them would wear, like linebackers wear the old school like neck thing.
Oh,
and I remember a couple years ago, Van Der Esch on the Cowboys, he brought that back, kind of.
A perfect thing like that NBA players do all the time, the Mutombo. That's a respect thing. That's respecting a legend. That's different. I think, I'm not sure Lawrence Taylor had any signature celebrations, or you do that after a big play. I'm not a fan of the unretiring jersey thing. That's just a little rant that just came in my head.
Yeah. If I had a personal tie to it, then yeah, I see where you're coming from.
You were fine with Joe Namath giving up his number?
I thought we were getting God when we got Aaron
That's
Rodgers.
fair. See, imagine 2 years later, Aaron Rodgers wore that number.
Looking back now, that would have been a huge mistake. But in the moment, and Aaron Rodgers is a legendary Hall of Fame quarterback, so it is different than getting a first-round draft pick and giving him such an important number. But in that moment, I was like, give Aaron Rodgers everything.